Senator, congratulations on your victory. I'm not surprised in that you're holding on to that nomination. But now you know you're up against some pretty heavy money on the other side, someone who can finance this, just reach into his own pocket when he needs money for this campaign.
Look, Lawrence, you know this, but maybe your viewers don't. I'm a third-generation Montanan. My wife, Charlotte, and I have the incredible opportunity to farm the land that my grandparents homesteaded, that my folks ran from the 40s to the 70s, and we took over in 1978. I lived within 100 miles of where I was born my entire life until I got this job. And I will tell you that this campaign is not about anything other else than Montana values. Folks are trying to change Montana. They're trying to buy Montana. They're trying to change it into a playground for the rich. Montana is the greatest state and the greatest country that's ever existed because Montana, a handshake means something. Your word is your bond. We got 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we act accordingly. We get the facts, and we make decisions off of those. And so you're right. There's going to be a lot of money put into this race trying to make me something that I'm not, so that they can run against that person because they know they can't beat the Jon Tester, who's the third-generation farmer from Big Sandy, Montana. We will push back. We will tell the truth. We will talk about my record of accomplishment in the United States Senate during my tenure, and we'll talk about my vision for this country moving forward, whether it's making sure we live up to the promise of our veterans or making sure that we're doing everything we can do to get everybody connected to broadband across this country, including rural and frontier areas of Montana. So look, the game plan has been the same for every election I've been in, Lawrence. They try to make me into something I'm not so they can run against that person. The bottom line is I listen to Montanans. They're my boss. I take their good ideas back to Washington, D.C., and I get them put into law. And it's why I've been told and over and over again that I'm one of the most effective senators in the United States Senate and one of the most bipartisan senators in the United States Senate. So I look forward to this campaign. I know there's going to be a lot of money out there. This race is going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars, which is insane in its own right. But in the end, this is a race against Jon Tester, a third-generation farmer, and a guy that just moved to Montana. And quite frankly, I've got a lot of equipment that I've owned longer than he's been in the state of Montana. And to be able to have those values, those Montana values, and know what Montana needs and know what Montana makes Montana tick is going to be critically important moving forward for the greatest state and the greatest country that's ever existed.
As you've been speaking, Senator, NBC News has moved Tim Sheehy into the projected winner category. He's got the check mark now, 75% of the vote as of right now. Senator, in reading about the race, I have read that some people say you're coming to the end of your third term. That's 18 years in the Senate, and I've read from some Montana voters who say they've voted for you in the past that they think you've drifted away into the Washington world and you're not the guy they voted for in the past. What do you say to those voters?
I'd say the forefathers had it right. They believed in a citizen legislature, and that's why I've continued to farm while I've had this job. I've actually had 2 jobs. One of them is trying to feed the world through production agriculture on our family farm, and the other is crafting good policy that helps make Montana remain in the position it is, which is the last best place. And that's all I can tell folks is that I go home every weekend. We meet with Montanans. I drive a little tractor, combine, depending on what season of the year it is. And if the work doesn't get done on the farm, that means I didn't do it. And so consequently, it's really hard to turn into a Washingtonian when, in fact, I'm writing the checks for diesel we're buying. I'm writing the checks for the equipment we're buying. And quite honestly, making the decisions on when we plant and when we harvest.
Yeah, Senator, I think, I don't know a Washingtonian who thinks you're a Washingtonian. That's for sure. You won't be able to find someone saying that.
Like I said, Lawrence, they're going to try to make me into something I'm not so they can run against that person. They don't want to run against Jon Tester, the third-generation Montana farmer who has a great record of accomplishment in the United States Senate.
Senator, what is your agenda for your next term in the Senate? What do you want to go back there to do?
Well, look, we've done a lot of good things for the veterans, as that ad pointed out. And we've done some amazing work with clinics and making sure that toxic exposed veterans who have never been taken care of in this country now are getting the benefits and the health care that they've earned. That doesn't mean we're done with the VA. We've still got a lot of things to do in the VA, make sure we got enough mental health care professionals in the VA, making sure we've got enough doctors, particularly in rural areas of this country and rural areas of Montana, to make sure we're helping our veterans. Look, Montana is the second highest per capita of veterans in the country. We got people who like to serve and they're honored by their service. We need to make sure we've got their back. You move that forward, and then we've got some things to do in conservation that is really, really, really important. And I'm not just talking about one thing, wilderness or recreation. I'm talking about all the above. Making sure that we're harvesting trees, making sure that we're putting land aside for our kids, for future generations, and making sure that people can recreate on our public lands and keep those public lands in public hands, because it's one of the things that helps drive our economy in our great state.
Montana Senator Jon Tester, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
One thing, and I'll be remiss if I don't say it, please go to jontester.com and help me out.
You got it. Thank you very much, Senator.
You betcha.